I am so sick and tired of people not going to jail. You know, we have hearings, sure, and then they lie to you. And then what happens? Nothing. You know, I grew up, you didn't lie under oath, ever. Didn't matter what the definition of is. You didn't lie under oath or you go to jail. Well, that changed in the 90s. And now you can lie to Congress. The other thing that I always heard is, oh, it's even worse with Congress because they set the rules. If they decide you're lying, they can say, jail for you. Wait, what? When is anyone going to go to jail for lying? Listen to this one. The National Institute of Health, the acting director, confirmed to lawmakers yesterday that U.S. health officials concealed early genomic sequences of COVID-19 at the request of Chinese scientists. Now, do you remember when there was a reporter that said, wait a minute. They're hiding information. There's a sequence that has been removed. Do you remember this? There's a sequence that's been removed. Where is that sequence? And everybody testified, that's conspiracy theory. That is absolutely conspiracy. It was in Vanity Fair. An article March 31st reported that evolutionary biologist Jesse Bloom discovered last year that early COVID-19 sequences had disappeared from a federally run data repository. When Bloom raised the issue, he was reportedly ganged up on by a group of researchers assembled by the then NIH director Francis Collins and Infectious Disease Institute head Dr. Anthony Fauci. They destroyed him for it. They said that it was a conspiracy theory and everything else. Well, it comes out yesterday in testimony that, we deleted the sequence. We deleted it because the Chinese scientist asked us to. And then they got into this argument of, well, it's not really deleted. I mean, it was deleted from, everything except, and I have to give you this, what it was kept on, the sequence read archive. Here it is, a tape drive. It's kept on a tape drive. Now, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the old computers that they would have in big computer banks back in like the 60s with those like reel-to-reel tapes going back. That's what he's talking about. It's on a tape drive. That's like saying, I got the whole Bible. It's on stone tablets. Well, what? Why is it on a tape drive? Why did you store it there? The reason why is because you can't really get to the tape drive. No, it's available. Really? How do you access that tape drive? Oh, I just take out my tape drive reading machine. Okay, all right. So is anyone going to go to jail? Is anyone going to go to jail? The answer probably is no. Will we have hearings? Oh, sure. How about this one? Jim Jordan and Mike Johnson said they have evidence now that the FBI targeted parents who protested schools' COVID policies despite assurances from Merrick Garland that it never happened. In a letter addressed to the Justice Department, Jordan and Johnson said they have evidence now. The FBI labeled dozens of investigations into parents with a threat tag created by the Bureau's Counterterrorism Division to assess and track investigations related to school boards. The evidence is coming from brave whistleblowers within the Department of Justice. Thank God. Thank God. I have been waiting for some. Is there anybody in the Department of Justice that isn't completely corrupt? The National School Board Association, you remember, sent the letter to the Biden administration at the Biden administration's request, comparing parents who protested schools' COVID policies to domestic terrorists. 5 days later, the FBI issued the memo saying that they wanted to investigate the threats to school boards as domestic terror. An internal email from the FBI's criminal and counterterrorism divisions instructed agents to apply the threat tag EDU officials to all investigations and assessments of threats directly directed specifically at education officials. Jordan & Johnson, citing a whistleblower, said the FBI opened investigations with EDU officials' threat in every region of the country and relating to all types of educational settings. The lawmakers cited several examples where someone reported a parent or state elected officials using the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. In one investigation, FBI officials interviewed a mom for allegedly telling a school board member, "We're coming for you." The person reported the mom because she belonged to a right-wing moms group. Let me just say that again with a straight face. A right-wing moms group. Oh, man.
Tons of bake sales going on in that thing, man. Deadly bake sales.
It's what they do with the brownie money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They come out, they sell you brownies, and then they just pile in the cash.
Direct to international terrorism.
So this right-wing moms group called Moms for Liberty, she's also a gun owner. FBI officials took the threat seriously, interviewed her, and then said, "No, she's not a threat. She's a mom." In another investigation, FBI officials interviewed a dad opposed to masks. According to Jordan & Johnson, the person who reported the dad did so because he supposedly fit the bill of an insurrectionist and rails against the government and has a lot of guns and threatens to use them. Claims which the person later admitted they had no information or observation of any of that. The Republican officials in an undisclosed state were also reported by state Democratic Party official who said Republicans were inciting violence by expressing displeasure with the vaccine mandates. Jordan & Johnson said these investigations were a direct result of Garland's October 4th directive to the FBI. They noted the FBI agents ultimately determined that these cases did not amount to terrorist threats, but they lamented the waste of valuable law enforcement time and resources that could have been expended on real and pressing threats. The whistleblower information raises a few concerns. Why? Because that means Merrick Garland lied to Congress under oath over and over and over again. Do you remember what he said? Quote, "I can't imagine any circumstance in which the Patriot Act would be used in the circumstances of parents complaining about their children, nor can I imagine a circumstance where we would label parents as domestic terrorists." Well, you just did. Is anyone ever going to jail? More news on the FBI. Congress has decided they're not going to look into the FBI's infringement of the free press. So the House Freedom Caucus, by the way, support the Freedom Caucus. And if you have people in the state that you think should be in a Freedom Caucus, start a Freedom Caucus in your state. You can go, what was the web address? Was it statefreedomcaucus.org or something? We just had the guy who was running it on the other day. We need Freedom Caucuses all over the country.
You somehow actually remembered that website
Did
address,
I really?
which never happens. You have it right in front of you and you misread it every interview. But yes, statefreedomcaucus.org.
Okay.
Congratulations.
The witnesses were Cheryl Atkinson and James O'Keefe. Cheryl, we know what happened with Cheryl with the FBI, or we thought we did. She said yesterday under oath that she said the Obama-era gun-walking scandal, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Explosives, shared her experience of the U.S. government breaching her electronic devices. Remember that? The government infected her computers with spyware in an attempt to identify her sources. Her story is well documented in media reports and her litigation against the government, which is still ongoing. But she surprised committee members when she told them that the FBI threatened to plant child pornography on her husband's laptop. Quote, one of the federal agents involved in one of the operations against me said they intended to plant child pornography on my husband's computer. This was the FBI. It was not accomplished in my case. I can guess the curtain was drawn on that facet of the operation before they could do it. But imagine how you'd ever get out of that. They knew we had a young daughter at home. Can you imagine? This is the kind of stuff that we used to think could never happen here. Now I don't know. Now I would say probably. And if it's not, it probably will, unless people go to jail. Now, how is that going to happen? Well, we don't get mealy-mouthed worms like Turtlehead Mitch McConnell, who said 2 days ago,
I think we all agree here that the biggest threat to the world is the Ukrainian-Russian conflict.
No, it's not. No, it's not. The biggest threat to world security is the collapse of the United States of America. Period. And there's multiple ways we could collapse. And we have people in our own government actively working towards that collapse. And if you are a candidate and you don't get that, you should not be sworn into office.